So if you're looking for a hybrid family car which is brilliant to drive, it doesn't get much better than the all-new Honda ZRV. So that was a very bold statement, but this is a very, very impressive SUV. In today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly why I think it's the best car to drive and also everything else I love about the all-new Honda ZRV. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. Got any questions or queries about the ZRV, then you can get in contact with our sales associates via the link down below. And also, if you want to see more reviews like this, then please go ahead and hit the subscribe button to see more videos from Honda, Suzuki, Hyundai, Mazda and many, many more. Right, let's start by talking about the exterior design of the Honda ZRV because this looks quite a lot different than the rest of the cars in the current Honda lineup. The ZRV sits in the middle of the SUVs. You have the entry-level HRV and then the larger CRV. If you want to see all of the size comparison differences, then you can actually click the link around here somewhere and I've got a full video explaining all of the differences between those three models. But as a standalone model, the Honda ZRV definitely has its own personality. Depending on what specification you go for, if you go for this advanced model, you get this horizontal slatted front grille. If you go for the slightly sportier setup of the sport models, then that becomes a honeycomb grille, but it's slightly more rounded than the rest of the Honda lineup. You have the contrasting differences between the gloss black, you have the white paintwork, and then you have the two-tone design wheels on this advanced trim. Go for the sport and they become gloss black. You also have flashes of chrome if you go for this advanced model, including at the bottom and on the rear of the bumper. Unlike other hybrid models on the market, Honda really wanted to accentuate the slightly sporty feel of the ZRV, and that's why you get a couple of twin tailpipes. It gives it a real sporty element. Now, inside the boot is one of my favourite features of the ZRV. Some of the handiest features in cars don't always have to be the most complicated, and I think that's definitely the case with the ZRV. In this instance, it's actually the parcel shelf. Now, the parcel shelf can be removed by unclipping it and simply sliding it out. And you may think, well, that would be slightly awkward to store. But no, there's an answer for this. So underneath the boot floor, you can flip it up and then you have the option of either using the parcel shelf as a boot divider, or you can fold it completely away underneath the boot floor. You can also drop down the rear seats using the levers on the backs of the seats. This reveals a completely flat load area. So it doesn't quite have the magic seats that you get in both the Jazz and also the HRV, but it's still super practical and really easy for loading items. Not to mention, you also get an electric boot on all versions. All versions of the ZRV get the same engine setup, and it's actually rather unique and very, very clever. It's a 2-litre petrol strong hybrid, so that means you've got a 2-litre engine and also a hybrid motor setup. But that's not what makes it unique. You see, the ZRV shares the same engine with the Honda Civic hybrid, and that means that it's extremely clever in the way that it works. Regular hybrid engines will mostly run in electric for very, very short distances, and then the engine will kick in and they can be quite noisy. However, with the ZRV, it's different. You see, the engine in the ZRV actually charges the battery, and then it's the battery that drives the wheels at lower speeds. The engine will kick in above sort of 40 miles per hour, and that's when you need some extra power. But most of the time, it's the electric battery which is driving the wheels, meaning the Honda ZRV. Well, it drives a lot like an electric vehicle, and you get all the benefits of a really smooth drive. It's very, very quiet, and it's also extremely torquey. However, you don't have the drawbacks of an electric vehicle. For instance, you don't need to plug in the Honda ZRV. It's run fully on a strong hybrid, so no need for charging. But you also get a really impressive amount of range. Nowadays, most electric vehicles can do between 200 and 300 miles, whereas the Honda ZRV, well, that can achieve up to 600, sometimes 700 miles on a full tank. You also get up to 50 miles per gallon. So this is really impressive. Honda have focused on quality and comfort in the ZRV over outright space. If you needed loads of space in the rear of the car, then you're probably better off looking at the Honda CRV. However, with the quality element, it's absolutely spot on. Everything feels so comfortable back here. You've got really soft leather seats, and you've also got a nice leather pull-out armrest with a couple of cup holders. Above and beyond other rivals, it also gets 2 USB-C charging points, and in this top spec advanced trim, you even get heated seats for rear seat passengers. Because of the way that the hybrid batteries are packaged underneath the floor of the ZRV, you do sit up a little bit higher in the back, and that means that there isn't loads of headroom. Although if you sit in a reclined position, you'll find that you'll have plenty. Legroom is also very good. However, this centre console does come slightly far forward. So though there's no load tunnel in the centre, there's not too much space for you to be able to put your legs behind this tunnel. However, for 2 passengers in the back, it will be more than comfortable. All versions of the ZRV gets the same infotainment system, and it's a vast improvement over previous generation of Honda products. It's still really simple to use. You have these home and back physical buttons, and you also have a physical audio button for turning the volume up and down, so using it is very, very easy. You get satellite navigation as standard, and the layout of the general system is very simple and easy to find the different functions and features. You get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, and this is also wireless as well, which is great if you're using the higher spec models in which you get wireless charging at the front of the cabin. What's great is Honda still has physical climate control dials, and again they're really easy to use on the go because you simply have these little scrollers for turning the temperatures up and down. You also get dual zone climate control, so you and your passenger can be nice and comfortable. And once again, you've got some nice buttons here for turning on your heated seats. The steering wheel controls are once again very clear and easy to use. On the left hand side you have your volume control buttons and for changing your channels and your tracks. On the right hand side you have adaptive cruise control as standard, including setting your speed and setting your distance from you and the car in front. You've got some really nice metal paddles behind the steering wheel which turn up and down your regenerative braking when driving. You also have a button in the centre of the steering wheel to turn on your heated wheel. Something which has always drawn customers back to Honda products is the fact that they have a slightly sporty driver setup. Even nowadays with their lineup of SUVs, they haven't lost sight of that, and especially not with the new ZRV. That's another benefit with it sharing a lot with the Honda Civic. It means that everything is a little bit more sporty. Even in your regular driving mode, the steering is well weighted and it handles really well in corners. The engine is also sprightly, and you do get a small amount of false engine noise. Sometimes false engine noise can be seen as a negative, but because this car mostly drives as an EV and you also have that eCVT gearbox, which essentially means that it doesn't have conventional gears, rather than not making any noise at all, the Honda ZRV, like the Civic, has a small amount of fake engine noise which is pumped into the cabin and even imitates changing gear. This makes it really engaging to drive whilst having none of the negatives of a regular hybrid. The Honda ZRV has one of my favourite interiors of any modern SUV. Everything just feels very logical and very high quality. You have these fantastic, really soft leather seats in the front, and you also have a nice leather wrapped armrest. This armrest continues down to a new redesigned centre console, and I love the layout of this centre console. You've got all of your gear selectors in the centre with your drive modes and your handbrake underneath in very logical areas which are easy to reach when you're driving. You also have a small amount of storage underneath the centre console, including charging for both a USB and a USB-C. So this is perfect for popping your mobile phone out of the way when you're driving. Up front you have a couple of cup holders, one slightly larger than the other, and in the higher spec models you get that wireless charging. It shares a similar design layout as the Honda Civic with this honeycomb air vents, which are quite nice and tactile to use. On the roof you'll find your controls for your panoramic sunroof, including a cover for the sunroof and an electrically sliding roof. You also get some additional storage up here for a set of sunglasses, and I love that you get some really large mirrors. It's really easy to get comfortable behind the steering wheel of the ZRV as you have a ton of movement in both the seats, and you also have lots of reach and rake adjustments in the steering wheel as well. You also get electrically adjusted seats, and if you go for this advanced model, then you can also get memory function, which is always handy if you're sharing the car. Thanks to all of those mechanical elements which it shares with the Honda Civic, this makes the Honda ZRV one of the best handling SUVs that money can buy. Plus you get all the benefits of the great styling, the high quality interior, all of that safety tech, and also those handy features like that foldable boot cover. But let me know, what do you guys think of the Honda ZRV? If you did have any more questions or queries, you can click the link down below and get in contact with one of our sales associates. Plus, please don't forget to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'd love to make 1,000 followers by the end of the year. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye.